All right, so Electronics Production Supervisor.
I'll admit, it doesn't exactly sound like, the most glamorous job title, right?
Right.
You kind of get this image of a, well, maybe not so exciting factory setting. But we all know appearances can be deceiving. And that's why we're doing this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're trying to dig beneath the surface, find those hidden gems. And having gone through these RoleCatcher excerpts, I can tell you there's more to this role than you might think.
Oh, absolutely.
So for our listeners out there, the ones who want to maximize their knowledge but like on a tight schedule, get ready. We're about to go deep into the world of electronics production supervisor.
They are.
We'll break down what they actually do, what surprised us, and maybe even uncover some perks beyond, the whole good salary thing.
And you might be surprised by just how good that salary can be.
Okay, fair point. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First things first. What does an electronics production supervisor actually do all day?
Well, it's funny you should say that because it's so much more than just, watching over assembly lines. I was just thinking, you picture someone with a clipboard watching people put together circuit boards.
Right, but these RoleCatcher excerpts paint a different picture. It's about coordinating the whole LEAK production process, start to finish.
Okay, break that down for me. What does that involve?
Think about it. It starts with sourcing materials, making sure your supply chain is solid.
Makes sense.
Then you've got the production itself, overseeing the assembly, the testing, dealing with any problems that come up. But it goes beyond that, even. They're also managing costs, making sure everything stays on budget and on schedule. Oh, and ensuring that the final product meets quality standards.
Wow, so there's a lot more to it than I initially thought. Sounds like this role needs someone with like a mix of technical skills, people skills, business smarts, all in one package.
Absolutely. You need to understand the tech, the electronics themselves, but you also need to lead a team, and you got to have that business sense to keep everything running smoothly.
Okay, let's talk about where all this happens, the work environment. When you picture an electronics production facility, what comes to mind? Be honest.
I'm not going to lie, it's not all, gleaming labs and robots. It can be a tough environment. RoleCatcher's pretty upfront about that. They mention noise levels, potential hazards, and yeah, you'll probably be on your feet a lot.
So not exactly your typical desk job then.
Not quite, but it's not all bad. The guide stresses that safety is a top priority in these places.
That's reassuring. I have to say, there's something kind of cool about knowing these gadgets we all use. They don't just like magically appear in stores. There's a human element to their creation, and these supervisors are right there in the thick of it.
Exactly. And speaking of in the thick of it, let's talk about why this role, this whole industry, is so important right now.
Okay, set the stage for us.
Well, if these RoleCatcher excerpts are anything to go by, electronics manufacturing is booming. Which makes sense. We live in a tech-driven world now. Every smartphone, every electric vehicle, every new medical device, they all rely on cutting-edge electronics.
And that demand's not going away anytime soon, right?
Not a chance. The global market for just electric vehicle batteries alone is projected to hit, over $200 billion by 2030.
Wow.
And that's just one example. This sector is exploding. And for someone thinking about a career as an electronics production supervisor,
I have a feeling you're about to tell me.
bright future ahead, that's what. The demand for skilled people in this field is only going up, which means job security, a lot of opportunity to move up the ladder, you name it.
As we've been talking about this role, I keep thinking it's all super technical, all about the numbers.
Right.
But then I look at these RoleCatcher stats, and they're emphasizing active listening, social perceptiveness.
Interesting.
It says those soft skills are needed in over half the electronics production supervisor roles they looked at. So it's not just about knowing the technical stuff then.
Not even close. I'd say those soft skills can make or break you as a supervisor. You're managing people, after all, and everyone's got their own, shall we say, quirks.
And they're all under pressure to hit those production targets too.
Exactly. So yeah, you need to resolve conflicts, motivate your team, communicate clearly, not just with your team, but with other departments too. Sales, marketing, engineering. Those are essential for an electronics production supervisor.
So you're like a bridge between the technical and the human side of things.
Exactly. And that brings us to something else interesting RoleCatcher points out. Career progression. They've got these stages laid out, starting with electronics production assistant, entry level, all the way up to senior electronics production manager.
So there's a real career path here. What can someone do to climb that ladder then?
Experience is key, obviously. But what really struck me in these excerpts is how much they emphasize continuous learning.
Right, because even if you're already a
But
supervisor,
even then, this industry changes so fast, you gotta stay ahead of the curve.
new technologies popping up all the time.
That's it. And that's where certifications come in. RoleCatcher lists a bunch. Six Sigma, CPIM, PMP, CQE. Those are like gold stars on a resume, shows you're not just keeping up, you're pushing ahead.
Okay, so tell me more about those certifications. What do they actually mean?
Well, take Six Sigma. If you've got that certification, it means you're an expert in process improvement. That's huge in any kind of manufacturing, especially something as fast-paced and detail-oriented as electronics.
So making things more efficient, less room for errors.
Precisely. Or look at CPIM, Certified in Production and Inventory Management. That one's all about supply chains, production planning, inventory control, all crucial stuff for an electronics production supervisor.
It's like getting like a mini MBA, but specifically for production.
That's a great way to put it. These certifications show you're not just good at what you do, you're serious about always getting better.
And let's face it, employers love that. Speaking of impressing employers, we got to talk about the I-word interviews.
Oh, yes, the interview.
RoleCatcher's got us covered, though. They actually give sample interview questions. I love that they don't just leave you hanging.
They're looking out for you. Those sample questions are a great way to get inside the head of a hiring manager, see what they're looking for.
Okay, how about this? Let's tackle a few of those interview questions together.
Sounds fun. Hit me with your best shot.
All right, here we go. How do you ensure that production targets are met?
A classic. And a real chance to show not just that you understand the process, but that you're a leader, too.
So it's not enough to just say, I work hard or I keep everyone on track.
Nope. You got to show strategic thinking. You could mention experience with lean manufacturing techniques, reducing waste, improving efficiency.
Nice. Or what about highlighting how you plan and schedule things? Making sure everyone's clear on their roles, their deadlines.
Exactly. And don't forget quality control. Talk about how you've caught defects early, prevented delays, and extra work later on.
So it's not just about getting the product out the door. It's about efficiency, quality, the whole package.
You got it. Now hit me with another question.
Okay, how do you handle conflicts between employees in the production facility? Because let's be real, conflicts happen even on the best teams.
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna happen. And that's where those soft skills we were talking about, they're not just a bonus, they're essential. Anyone can say they're a team player or good at resolving conflict,
Right.
but a good hiring manager, they'll want to see proof, real examples.
So, like, what do you actually DO if, say, two people on your team have totally different ways of doing the same task and it's causing problems?
That's when you got to be empathetic but assertive, too. You could talk about how you really listen to each person, make them feel heard. Even if you don't agree with them, they need to know you get it.
Creating that space for open communication, even when it's tough.
Exactly. And then you can talk about how you bring everyone together to find a solution that works for the whole team. You're like a mediator, helping everyone move on in a positive way.
Like a diplomat, but for production lines.
Exactly. Okay, last one for today. Curious to hear your take on this. What is your experience with quality control in electronics production?
Sounds pretty straightforward, but I bet there's more to it.
Oh, there always is. Anyone can say, I've done quality control.
Ah.
But they're listening for something more. They want to see you're detail-oriented, that you care about making a great product.
So don't just say, I checked for problems. Go deeper.
Yes. Tell them what you actually did. Visual inspections, automated tests, statistical sampling, whatever's relevant to the job you're going for.
And if you've used any of those industry standard systems, like ISO 9001, definitely mention that.
For sure. That shows you're not just winging it, you understand the importance of doing things by the book, keeping that quality consistent.
Proves that quality is part of everything you do.
Exactly.
You know, it's amazing. We've talked about the responsibilities, the skills, the work environment, even those interview questions. And it really hits home how much this job is about way more than just the technical stuff.
It's so much bigger, isn't it?
It is. And that actually makes me think back to how RoleCatcher listed high salary potential as a pro, which, yeah, money matters. But what we've really uncovered is something more.
Absolutely. We've gone way beyond just what's in the job description.
Right. It's the chance to be part of something cutting edge, something that's changing how we live.
Those smartphones were all glued to electric cars, life-saving medical devices. Someone had built those. Someone was making sure every single detail was perfect.
It's leadership, problem solving, teamwork. even a bit of visionary thinking, honestly.
And in a world that relies on technology more and more every day, that's a powerful place to be.
It's not just building devices, it's shaping the future. That's more than just a job title, that's something else.